Welcome back to our workshop. This is part of a chair repair series where I'm showing you different styles of chairs and how to take them apart, put them back together, so you can take a loose chair and get a really strong chair that will last for decades. These two chairs here are both upholstered. In the previous two videos, they're non-upholstered chairs. And those are different in that they've got a thick seat and the back is secured to the seat and the legs are secured to the seat. So the seat is the foundation of the structure. In these two chairs, the frame here is the structure for the chair and the upholstery is applied on top. Now this one is an older chair and the upholstery is put on with tacks. So this is a more complex chair. I'm going to save that one for another video. On this chair, this is more common of modern chairs, the upholstery is held on with 4 screws, and once you take that upholstery off, you've got the woodwork to work with. I'm going to take this chair apart, put it back together again, and show you how to take this loose chair and make it really strong.
As a furniture repair business, we're opening the doors to our workshop to show you the tools and techniques to repair furniture.
What I need to do is take that apart, repair it, and put it back together so I can get this chair in working order.
We give you tips to make your repair projects easier. Let's get into the workshop and start fixing furniture.
The first step in repairing this chair is taking off the upholstery. There are 4 screws underneath and I've already taken those off. So I'm just going to set this aside, and I like to use dry cleaner bags just to protect the material from getting any dust in the workshop on them. So I'm going to set this over here, get my padding out. Always work on a padded surface, that way you're not damaging the wood as you move along. And we'll turn it upside down. Now before I take anything apart, I want to label all the parts. So I've got a bunch of labels here I regularly use, my left and right, and I just mark them here, left and right, the way I see the chair upside down. I've got a front left for the leg, a front right for this leg. So when I first started doing this, I used to label every single part. I've done this enough now that as long as I label the key parts, I know how everything goes together. The last thing I want is when I'm gluing this up is to second guess where all the parts go. There's an order of taking one of these chairs apart. The back typically has lots of structure and I find those often don't come loose. So keep that in one piece. Separate the front and the back. So take these sides apart first. Typically where you get the wear is in these joints in here. So once that's separated, then assess the front. Sometimes they need repairing and sometimes they don't. Again, feel the joint, and if it's a little bit loose, that needs to come apart so it can get re-glued. You need to take the screws out of the corner blocks. And if you've never seen a screwdriver like this is called a Yankee screwdriver. It's got a ratcheting head on it. And if you open this up here, it will actually spin. So this is the original cordless screwdriver. Just like that. These corner blocks typically pop out once the screws are off, but this chair's got some grooves and the block's been glued in there. So this is going to make this particular chair more difficult to take apart. Now we can start pulling this apart. If you try to do it by hand, it's a little difficult. So I love these quick grip clamps that turn into spreader clamps. You take the head off here, put it on the back here, and it changes from a clamp to a spreader. So this goes in here, and now you've got force you can apply to spread that chair apart. So the joint's a little bit loose there. Not here yet. So we'll try down here with the stretcher. It's starting to come apart. There's a little bit of separation in this joint, but not enough to loosen up this side. So I'm going to go to the other side and see how that works. With these joints loose here, I can now pull this leg off. So this joint here was pretty loose, so that's come off. It's really that corner block that's been holding all that together. So I have to loosen up this corner block and this one to really get this chair apart, so I can deal with these joints that are slightly loose. One of my secret weapons for getting glue undone is vinegar. This is shop vinegar. This is normally white vinegar, but I've taken some rust off the thing so it's a little bit dirty. And all I do is use a syringe to pull some of the vinegar out. And then I put the vinegar in the joint that I'm looking to take apart. So just by setting it there and then moving that joint, start to get that vinegar down inside the groove and start to break down the glue. Let that sit for about 10 minutes. It should be good to go. So the vinegar has worked its way in here in these joints, and we'll see how this works. Okay, I've got some separation here, not here. Try at the bottom. Just a bit of separation there. So just give it a nudge. And it's starting to come apart. Okay, the bottom one's out. It's just this top one here and this corner bracket that's holding it together. This one's now loose. So I'll see if I can get this pulled apart. Put a wedge in here and try and work it with leverage. A little bit needs it just separated at the top here. Now it's separated and it'll come apart. This joint here is coming loose, but this corner block isn't. This is a really long joint here and the vinegar is not loosening it up. This here is a little bit loose, but I've got the screw in here that just won't come out. So it looks like this, and what I'm going to do is just drill out the head so that I can get that block off there and get this piece out. There, success. Now this is an important lesson in furniture repair. The previous person had tried to glue these joints together with paint in there, and you can't do that. You need bare wood against bare wood to make a good bond. So this is why these joints had failed. I'm going to back out this screw and then clean up the joints to get it ready to go back together again. Using a sharp paint scraper makes quick work of cleaning off surfaces. I've got several sizes. This is my larger one, but I'll show you the smaller one in a minute. Once I get to the grooves, it's just a matter of using a chisel to clean those out, and I'm good to go. So this is what it looks like all clean. I can now move on to these other joints here. I'm going to cover off how to clean off the dowels, and these are called tenons as well, and the mortises or holes where the dowels go. Once I've got all these cleaned up, I can then put the glue on and put it back together. I'll clean off these surfaces here with a small scraper to get all the old paint and glue off. And as I mentioned earlier, you have to make sure you get all the old material off here. Anything that's glue, you need to take it back to bare wood. So once that's cleaned off, and this as well, also need to work on these dowels and make sure the old glue is off those. So just take 120 sandpaper, and clean off the dowels that way. Also want to knock off any old glue on the end of the dowel that might prevent it from getting to the bottom of the hole. So once that's all cleaned up, we're ready and we can move on to the mortises. To clean out these holes for the dowels, or also mortises, what I do is take a 3/8 inch drill bit and run it backwards into the hole to get it to the bottom of the hole. Then I can turn around, do it frontwards to pull out the glue. The reason that I run it backwards is I want to make sure I don't change the direction of the hole. So if I get it right to the bottom first, then put it forward, I'm not changing the direction. So I've got all the parts laid out here. A few of them are connected already. This joint wasn't loose, and this joint wasn't loose. So I left them on there. First thing I'm going to do is just put some glue out in a pan here. This just makes the glue easy to get to. And I'm going to start by putting the front together first. So I've got my labels here. Now with the holes, I use the back of an artist brush to put the glue in, because you want the glue on every part of the surface in that hole. So putting it in there and rolling it around is how you get the glue in there. Then we do the opposite on this side. Coat the dowels. And that way we've got glue on both surfaces. That'll give you the strongest possible joint. And there's no need to put glue on the ends of the dowel because that won't be touching the hole. And the same thing with the bottom of the hole. You don't want glue in the bottom there. You want that dowel to be all the way to the bottom of the hole. Okay, so that part's been coated. Just put a little bit here. And the perfect amount of glue is just enough glue that when you clamp it, the glue squeezes out. If you don't have enough glue in there, you have a chance of that joint failing prematurely. So this goes together like this. So there's the front. So then I'll work on these two pieces here. Here I've got a corner block that stayed in place, so I need to coat it with glue. And then coat the joint. And then coat the mortises. Do the same thing on this side. So there's 4 things that you need for wood glue to work properly. You need to have tight joints, and these are tight joints, so we're good there. You need to have clean surfaces, and we cleaned all of them off. You need to make sure that you've got glue on all surfaces, so that's what I'm doing now. And the last thing is, the wood glue to work needs to have pressure, and the pressure comes from clamping. So if you're to do all this work and you don't clamp anything, the glue is not going to adhere properly. Pressure is one of the key ingredients for this glue to work. Now I'm just using regular PVA glue. That's your regular cabinet maker's, carpenter's glue. And if you're doing restorations where you've got antiques, you'd want to be using a different type of glue. You'd want to make sure you're using hide glue. And that's because hide glue is a reversible glue. It allows you to heat up the joint, loosen the glue, and repair the piece. So this one's going in here. So another thing I'll mention too is you want to make sure that you're gluing on a level surface. I'm taking this pad off my workbench, but it's a perfectly flat surface, because once I get the chair set up and clamped, I want to make sure it's not going to be wobbly once it's dried, and I don't need to trim the legs. So it's going to save some work if I do it right the first time. Everything's got glue on it now, so what I'm going to do is put these pieces in place. So one thing to check out is on the glue that you're using, the open time. That's how long you have before the glue sets. With the glue that I use, this is a Lee Valley brand. It's a cabinet maker's glue. It's 20 minutes. So it's comfortable for me to work through repairing a chair in most cases. When I did the Windsor chair, that was quite a different story. I ended up using a different glue for that. So what I need to do now is just clamp everything up. So I'll start with the H stretcher here, just clamping those joints tight, making sure there's the right angle on that. And here you can see that there's glue squeeze out. That's what I'm looking for to make sure I've got enough glue. And then up here, I put that toolbox on. It's about 50 pounds of weight, and then it's just a matter of clamping up the rest of the joints to make sure that they're tight. Wiped off the glue squeeze out with a damp rag, and when this chair is dry, it'll be good for a couple of decades. The glue's all dried on this chair now, so it's ready to go back together again. It's just a matter of putting the seat cushion on and screwing it from underneath. Check out some of the other videos we've got on different styles of chairs. As I mentioned at the start, different styles of chairs are repaired different ways. There are also different types of glues you can use for furniture repair, depending on the need. I'll have a video on that coming up as well. If you haven't subscribed, click on this icon over here and click on the bell icon and you'll get notified when our next videos come out. Thanks for watching Fixing Furniture.